Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sports Talk with Jack and Ian. Jack, how's it going today?
Going good, Ian.
Well, I'm excited. The baseball regular season is coming to a close. Yes, it's unfortunate, but that means the playoffs are right around the corner. And I'm looking forward to it. We've got about 10 games left in the regular season. We have this weekend and then next week. And folks, that's about it for the regular season. And then we will be whittling it down to 10 teams who will be 10 teams who will be competing for the trophy. And well, Jack, let's get right into it. 3 teams have clinched their divisions, and we are talking about the Baltimore Orioles, the Los Angeles Angels, and the Washington Nationals. All 3 of them division champions. And, well, Jack, any surprises there?
No, definitely not. I mean, definitely with the way the AL East has been set up this year, even with the Orioles losing Chris Davis as of late, he hasn't performed well. I mean, they took control of that division quick, and I'm not surprised, really. Washington and the NL East, that's, again, not much of a surprise. More of a surprise because the Braves have fallen off. They're playing just not like they should be lately, but no big surprises, really. Not yet, at least.
Yeah, the AL East, that's always a competitive division, and really, you could have made a case for any of those teams to win it at the beginning of the season, and the Orioles were just the team that have emerged this season. And hey, the Orioles have done a great job, as you said, even without Chris Davis, who struggled most of the year and obviously now is sitting out the 25-game suspension. But the Nationals, I'm a little bit surprised that the Braves didn't take it. I thought the Braves were going to win that division, but not too surprised the Nationals took the division 2 years ago, so really not too surprising there. And the Angels, who I think are the hottest team in baseball now.
Yeah, that's kind of a surprise. I mean, not that they don't have the talent to play like they're playing, but they really took control of that division. And even Oakland's a very good team, and they're 11.5 games back still.
Oakland is limping into the playoffs. I think that is if they even get there. They haven't clinched anything to get into the playoffs, but I suspect that they should be able to get in. But I think that the best adjective to describe Oakland at this time is that they are limping into the playoffs. As of the All-Star break, it looked like I think Oakland had the best record, at least in the AL, and potentially I think maybe in all of the majors, and they just looked like phenomenal. And then for some reason they just messed with it. I mean, yeah, I think that was a big pickup getting Jeff Samardzija, but then I think they just messed up whatever they had going when they traded Cespedes for Lester.
Right.
And since then, they've just been terrible. I mean, they had a huge lead on the Angels, and now they're 11.5 back and trying to hold off the surging Mariners.
Yeah, like you said, I think losing Cespedes at that moment, it maybe seemed like a good trade. Obviously, right now, it didn't seem to pan out well for the Red Sox, at least, and Cespedes, but getting Samardzija was a huge pickup. But they just haven't been able to piece it together recently. 3-7 in their last 10.
The A's, that's just one of those trades that really gets you scratching your head. I mean, Billy Beane was like the master of working with what he had and finding success there, and then he just made that trade that even at the time of the trade, I was thinking to myself, what kind of a trade is that? I mean, Lester had said that even if he gets traded, he wants to sign back with the Red Sox. So Beane pretty much just gave up Cespedes for
a rental player, really,
for potentially 3 months of Lester's pitching. So that move I do not agree with at all. And well, it's proven that Oakland has just did not do well there.
Right, it kind of goes against the saying, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. I mean, they had best record in baseball. Didn't make much sense to trade one of your best hitters and arguably best fielders for a rental player at best. Really, that's what it seems like Leicester's going to be for them.
And I know the saying, pitching wins baseball games, but you have to have a balanced attack. And if you're only pitching, and let's say you give up, your pitching staff pitches great, but gives up one bad pitch, a solo home run, and you can't produce any offense, you lose 1-0. Then you're going to question, well, you could have used the nice bat there, and Cespedes is a pretty nice bat to have in your lineup. So, anyway, another team that made moves around the deadline to bolster their pitching staff, and it could be one major reason why Leicester is in Oakland now. The Detroit Tigers trading for David Price from the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tigers were holding on to the division much of the first half of the season. That they had it locked up, but now they are in a tight division race with the Kansas City Royals. The Royals, who are they're a young team, but they've got a lot of talent there, and they're good.
Yeah, huge surprise from them. Half game back in the division right now, leading the wild card. Looking like maybe, I think it's 4-6 in their last 10, but the way they've been playing lately, they got next series coming up is home against Detroit, so that should be a very decisive series to determine the division.
I'd say I think the division's coming out of that series. Whoever comes out on top there, I think should be holding on to the division when the season is all said and done. But I remember, I'll give a shout out, Jersey Joe, president of WICR, few months ago said, or maybe a year or so ago, said, watch out for the Kansas City Royals. They're an up-and-coming team, and they're going to be good. And you know what? Gotta give him props for that. He 100% pegged it, and, look at them. They have really done a phenomenal job there, because I think a lot of people looked at that division at the beginning of the year and said, Tigers, next division, and didn't give it a second thought. I'll be honest with you, I considered the Indians for a little bit to maybe contend for the division title, but I thought Tigers, and that's about it. And really, you got to give the Royals props. Looking to get into the playoffs for the first time in 29 years.
Yeah, since the World Series, they won the World Series in '85.
George Brett. But really, great job by Kansas City. But now, switching over to the... you know what? We've got a tight race for the wild card there. We've got Kansas City and Oakland tied at 83 and 69.
Kansas City is a half game up.
Oh, right.
One less loss there.
Right. Kansas City 83 and 68. Oakland 83 and 69. Seattle 1 game back of Oakland 82 and 70. It's pretty much going to be those 3 teams coming out. Or 2 of those 3 teams coming out for the 2 wild card spots. I mean, yes, you do have the Indians 4 back and the Yankees still alive 5 back, but for either one of them to make a move, it's going to be awfully difficult. I mean, they're going to pretty much have to win out, and they're going to need a few teams in front of them to stumble. Not likely. So, Jack, which 2 teams are you taking to make it to the playoffs, and who's going to be on the outside looking in?
The way I see it right now is Kansas City. I think they might be able to take this series from Detroit and move into the leader for the Central. So I think they'll take the division there, which is going to bring Detroit down. But then looking forward, if Detroit is to lose that series, Oakland and Seattle. Oakland is going, they're playing Philadelphia at home, last place in the NL East, and then Seattle's going to Houston. Both those seem like maybe very easy series wins. So the way I see it is maybe Oakland and Seattle are going to take the wild card, those top 2 wild card spots, and Detroit's going to drop down.
Really? So you've got the Tigers dropping from leading the division all the way down to outside of the playoffs.
So that's just the way that's the way it seems right now. Obviously, we still got 10 games left, but it could even. I mean, obviously, Detroit could lose the series to Kansas City. Kansas City can overtake them, and Kansas City could have a little meltdown here, and Detroit could they could win the division. But tough call, definitely. But yeah, I want to say that. I want to say Oakland and Seattle. The AL West is going to take over the playoffs this year.
Wow, getting 3 teams in, just like the AFC West last year in the playoffs, getting the division winner and then two teams out of the wild card. Okay, I'm disagreeing with you. I've got the Tigers holding on in the division there. I think they've just been the best team in that division over the last few years, and they just have so much experience that they're not going to have a meltdown down the stretch, and they are going to be the ones taking the AL Central, which will leave Kansas City still in the mix for the wild card. And you know what? I'm going to give it to them, and Seattle will overtake Oakland and get into the playoffs. So we're going to have 2 new faces into the playoffs there, Kansas City and Seattle. Neither one of them have been in the playoffs in a long time, and well, Oakland's 3-year run or so of taking the division there is going to come to an end, and they're not even going to see October baseball because I just do not like the way that they've been playing. They've struggled so much down the stretch that really I think that as of recently, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs, and I think they're going to prove that and not get in. But anyway, so now that we looked at the AL, we're jumping over to the NL. As we said, only one spot locked up there, and that is the Nationals as NL East champions. Jack, we've got ourselves 2 very tight division races. St. Louis 2.5 up on Pittsburgh. The LA Dodgers 2.5 up on the San Francisco Giants. Who's taking division titles and who's going to be competing for the wild card?
I mean, right now we've got San Francisco 2 games up on Pittsburgh for the wild card. The way it seems is that's going to be those 4 teams are going to make it between those 4. But I think it'll stay the way it is. Maybe Pittsburgh overtakes San Francisco for the first wild card spot, but I think St. Louis and the Dodgers are going to hold on to those to the division titles. The way the Dodgers are playing lately, I don't know if San Francisco is going to catch up to them.
Yeah, and I just checked the Cardinals' schedule. They've got Arizona to close out the regular season, and before that, they have the Cubs. 2 very
winnable series.
Definitely. 2 teams that are probably going to lose close to 90 games. Arizona already has. The Cubs seem to be well on their way, 68 and 85. I think St. Louis should hold on to the division there. And yeah, the Dodgers, you're right. But my team from the beginning of the year to really do well this year was the San Francisco Giants. And you know what? My philosophy for that is that it is an even-numbered year. 2009, they missed the playoffs. 2010, World Series champions. 2011, keep in mind Buster Posey missed that entire season due to injury. Or pretty much that entire season. He got hurt like the first week of April, missed the playoffs. 2012, World Series champions. 2013, missed the playoffs. 2014. I sense it every other year. Watch out for the Giants. I think the Dodgers will hold on to the division and the Giants will get in as a wild card team, but I'm telling you right now, watch out for the Giants. And then of course Pittsburgh, that's my favorite team. Gotta give them props. And really, as you said, it is definitely going to be those 4 teams. Milwaukee's the closest team to getting into any playoff spot, and they're 3.5 out of the wild card behind Pittsburgh. I don't see Pittsburgh faltering and giving up a 3.5 game lead with 10 games left in the regular season. They're not your New York Mets, who lost 7 games in 17 to close out the 2007 season and have the Phillies overtake them. So I mean, I think, as you said, it's easily going to be those teams. So the NL is pretty much set with the 5 teams that are getting in. Now really it just comes down to a battle for playoff seeding there. I mean, right now Washington has the best record in the league at 88-64, but the Dodgers are only about 1 game or a game and a half back of them. So definitely playoff seeding is up for grabs, but it's pretty clear, cut and dry in the NL who is going to be playing in October.
Right. It looks maybe by the end of the weekend it could all be set up because we got Pittsburgh, Milwaukee in Pittsburgh this weekend. So obviously if Pittsburgh was to sweep that series, Milwaukee's all but done there. But if Milwaukee sweeps Pittsburgh, all of a sudden they're a half game back. So you never know with that kind of stuff, And
that's the great thing about like the scheduling like that you can have a series like that is just gonna have a huge implications on the playoff races come the end of September. I mean, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, who would have better scripted it that with 1 week left in the regular season, Pittsburgh would have a 3.5 game lead in the wild card, and they're playing 3 games. I mean, that's just great. And exactly like you said, whoever wins that series is pretty much going to dictate how the last week of the season is going to go. Milwaukee takes the series. They're saying, hey, we're knocking on the door on Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh takes the series. They're saying, who's ready for some October baseball? So it should be a great final 10 games of the season, and then of course the playoffs. I mean, that's when baseball gets so intense, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, one of the most exciting times of the year, definitely.
So we will take a quick break right now, and then we will be back. And you know what? Since it's fall, we have to talk football. So we'll be back with some football.
WICR presents another great New York sports moment.
October 18th, 1977, Game 6 of the World Series. Reggie Jackson belts 3 home runs on 3 swings, leading the Yankees